Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is chapter 4, and what we're going to do is basically to start out with some basic graphing stuff here today. And we're going to plot points on a coordinate plane. Okay, so basically what a coordinate plane is, it's a two-dimensional thing here, so it's got a length and a width. All right, this is called the x-axis, and this is called the y-axis. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple different things here with the x and y-axis. First of all, this center point is called the origin. Okay, it's the middle. It's where the x and the y-axis intersect. It's called the origin. So let's talk about plotting points here. I'm going to put a couple of tick marks here just to give you some examples of plotting points on this coordinate plane. Okay, so if you notice, well, as you go this way, it's positive x. If you go this way, it's negative x. If you go up, it's positive y. And if you go down, it's negative y. Okay? And it almost kind of makes sense, right? Because you guys know, like a regular number line, if you go to the left, you go to the negative numbers, you go to the right, you go to the positive numbers. Well, now we have an up and down also, and that's just kind of intuitive, right? If you go up, it's positive. If you go down, it's negative. Right? You're climbing, you go positive. If you're falling, you're going negative. Okay? So what you want to do is we're going to plot some points here. So, for example, at this point right here, what you do is it's always x comma y. So x is always first. It's alphabetical. So that's first, always, and then that's last. Obviously, we have it written there. Okay? So this point right here is the coordinate I count. Let's just use a red marker here. It goes 1, 2, 3, 3 to the x, and so it's positive 3x and positive 1y. So that's 3 comma 1. All right, and let's pick a point over here. How about this point right here? Okay, again, you follow these signs here, the negative and the positives. It's negative x, so it's negative 1, 2x, negative 2x, and positive 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 4y. All right, so try another problem over here. That point. And that one's going to be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 4x, and negative 1, negative 2, negative 3y. So you notice they're both negative because y is going down and x is going to the left. Okay? And then last one here, let's try the spot right here, way down here. Okay, so it's 2 in the positive x direction. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6 in the y direction. All right, so you can see, again, when you're going to the right, it's positive x, the left is negative x, up is positive y, down is negative y. All right? And then, of course, the origin, which we initially talked about, that has a coordinate of 0, comma 0. Kind of looks like a face. See, it's very friendly. There we go. Okay, but it's 0, 0. 0, 0 is the origin. All right? Okay. So that's part of your homework is just kind of plotting points. It's really pretty easy in identifying points. Let's just talk real quickly. I didn't plot any of these on here. So what happens if you have something on the axis? So let's talk about how at that point right there. Well, that's 0 in the x direction, right? Because I don't go left or right, so it's 0, and I go 1, 2, 3, negative 4 in the y direction. So it's negative 0, negative 4. Okay, here that's also on the y-axis, and this one's going to be 0 in the x direction and positive 2 in the y direction. Okay, if I go point out here, it's going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 6 in the x direction and 0 in the y direction. And the point right here, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in the x direction and 0 in the y direction. Okay? So just kind of give you an idea of where different things are on these on the graphs. All right, let's talk about quadrants. Okay, so you basically have 4 quadrants on a coordinate graph. And this, a lot of times you use Roman numerals to describe them. So this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. So you kind of work your way around. Now, probably the easiest way to remember this, math fans, is that we are the Kona Cougars. So we go C like that. Okay. So again, you start out with 1, go to 2, go to 3, you go to 4. Okay? That's actually the easiest way to remember all these different quadrants. Now, the nice thing about it is that Conant works out really well, right? If you were with any other school, like if you were Schaumburg, Schaumburg has no idea what they're doing because they go like this, okay? And they go from 1 to 2, cross the origin to 4 to 3. That's complicated. Hoffman, they just go 2, 3, 1, 4, and x-axis. That's complicated. Fremd goes 2, 3, 2, 1, and x-axis. Okay, Palatine, same thing, 2, 3, 2, 1, x-axis. And all schools are very, very, that's why they confuse sometimes with which quadrants. Conant works out the best, okay, because you literally go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. Now, sometimes people say, well, what about when you're on, what happens if you're like right in the middle here? What happens if you're on that? That's neither a quadrant. In fact, that's going to be the y-axis, right? That's not a quadrant. Same thing with on here someplace. Okay, that's your x-axis. You're not in a quadrant. So if I asked you, and these are some of the questions I'll ask. So let's actually draw this out here again. If I say name the quadrant the point lies in. So if I give you 2, 3, well, you know, I mean, you could graph it because some of the questions you know, they're not going to expect you to graph it. You're just going to actually look at it and go, oh, both are positive. So don't you guys agree? Let's actually just put the signs here. I think that's kind of good. So x, remember it's x, y. So they're both positive. What about this one? Isn't x negative here? And y is positive because y is above the x-axis. And here they're both negative. And here the x is positive and the y is negative. Okay? So if it's 2, 3, that's going to be in quadrant 1. Okay? If I say -4, -8, well, they're both negative. That's going to be in quadrant 3. If I said -35, 105, x is negative, so it's to the left, and positive y, so it's going to be in quadrant 2. And then, of course, 2, -1700. It's like, whoa, can't graph that, but I know I'm going to go positive in the x direction and negative in the y direction, so I am in quadrant 4. All right? And then if I said, what about 5, 0? Well, 5, 0, isn't that somewhere around here? So that is neither, it's no axis, or I'm sorry, it's no quadrant, it's on the x-axis. Same thing if I said 0, -1800. Well, that's like way, way, way down here, but it's on the y-axis. And the only other one here is if I said 0, 0. Of course, you know that's the origin. Okay, so that's quadrants identifying points. That's relatively easy schmeezy. Let's talk about something else called domain and the range. You have domain and range. Okay, domain are x values and range are y values. That's all it is. That's what a domain and a range is. X values and y values. So in other words, you're going to see in your homework, if I give you guys y equals 2x plus 3, and I say you're given the domain, find the range. So here, the domain is going to be x equals -3, 0, 2, and 8. Okay? That's pretty easy, right? And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to plug those values of x into the x of the equation and solve for y. It's really pretty easy. Okay, for -3, it's going to be 2 times -3 plus 3, which is -6 plus 3 is -3. So that is one part of the range. Let's put a 0 in there. 2 times 0 plus 3, so that's going to be 3. Let's put a 2 in there. 2 times 2 plus 3 equals 7. And then let's put the 8 in there. 2 times 8 plus 3 equals 19. Okay, so each of these guys is part of the range. Okay, so I can evaluate range is going to be y equals -3, 3, 7, and 19. Okay, that's pretty easy. That's how you do domain and range. Just plug it in, and then you're good to go. Okay. And so anyway, that's the first part of the chapter, math fans, of graphing, just understanding locations of points, quadrants, and talking about domain and range. All right, that's it, math fans. Have a great day. Adios.